Okay. Hi. So we start on a new topic. This topic being exception. What is an exception? An exception is an error mostly caused by programmer, but can be caused by the system and something that programmer does not have control as well. So before we go through example of exception, I'd like to categorize errors in Java program. Well, common errors in Java programs. Well, there are 3 of them. The first one is syntax error. That's when the program does not compile. The second is a logic error. That's when you, the programmer, program incorrectly and get the wrong result for your program. Right? And the third type is environment error. So, for example, a network may be down or you can't open a file for some reason. Well, this third type of error is usually out of the programmer's control. Some like the open file problem can be kind of partially the programmer's fault. So we have to look carefully when looking at these errors. Correct? Because we might be the reason that the error took place. Okay? So, exception are errors mostly caused by programmers. Alright? And speaking of errors caused by programmers, there are lists of common errors, such as, accessing non-static variables from static methods. Alright, meaning you do not create an object, but you call the variable that's supposed to belong to an object, but you call it from a class instead. So that will cause an error. Right? The next one. Mistype. That's a common error too. The next one. You compare two data incorrectly. Because instead of using the equal sign, you use the assignment instead. So you end up assigning the value, making them equal instead of testing for equality. Okay? The next error that's very common is when you compare two objects without using the equal method. Alright? But you use the equal sign instead. Well, you have seen with the examples from the last video that equal, if you compare objects, they will only compare their addresses. So if you want to compare the object's contents, you can't use equal. You must write your own equals method. Alright? And the next common error that we find is the confusion of not knowing if the value passed to a method is passed by value or passed by reference. And this confusion can cause incorrect expectation of the return value or of the changed value. Alright? So, in the process, causing the program to incorrectly work out its result. Okay? Right? So, the fifth most common errors is blank exception handler. That means you actually write the code for handling exception. But in that block of code, you forget to write anything. So it's just a blank block of code. So, doesn't work. The fourth in the list is forgetting that the index of array or the index of character in a string starts from 0, right? In other languages, it might start from 1, but in Java, it starts from 0, right? The third common error is threads. So, when you have concurrent access to a shared variable using threads, the variable can be updated incorrectly if you are not careful, because 2 or more threads can work on the same variable at the same time. And their timing may not be what you expect if you don't write your code carefully. Okay, the second in the list is the capitalization. This is caused because Java is case sensitive. So a name with the same characters, if you got one name that has capital letter and the other without capital letter, those are different names. Alright? You can't regard them as having the same name. Alright? And the most common human error is null pointers. That means you forget to initialize an object. So leaving it without an address, or we say leaving it null, being null pointer. Okay? So you may forget to initialize or forget to check if the return value of a method is null, and then just use that value. Right? So you end up using null. So that's the common errors by programmers. Alright? And an exception is a problem that arises during the execution, can be from human error. Well, mostly it's from programmer error, but can be from the system, like the network down or can't open a file as well. So there are quite many types of exception, and each type is already defined in the Java library as a class. Right? For example, you have class arithmetic exception, you have class array index over bound exception, and you have class why not found exception, for instance. Alright? So, that's it about what an exception is.